fixed. Sorry. I'm Fred. I'm a developer advocate at DigitalOcean. And what does that mean is that my job is to talk about technology to developers and help them being successful, hopefully in their platform. But at the end of the day, it's really just helping developers. Speaking at conferences, meetup, connecting with people. I like to call myself the friendly, social, approachable, technical face of the company, or one of those people of the company. And my main focus is startup, which is part of the ASH program, which is one of the things I'm going to talk to you today. We're supposed to have lunch, but they're going to be late because New York, I guess. So lunch is going to come in, but to be respectful of your time, I will start a little talk today, around 30, 40 minutes. Feel free to sleep if you find this boring, but I hope not. How many people are technical in the room? Technical founder, developers, or technical? Okay. I'm really sorry about the other people. That's going to be a high-level kind of technical talk, but it's not specific for developers. So first, again, my name is Frederic Harbour. I'm from Montreal, from Canada. Really happy to be here. I heard some French accent. You can speak French if you want, but I have a better French than you. I'm pretty sure you're from France. Your French is weird. So, joke aside. So I work at DigitalOcean. If you want to tweet, connect on Twitter, LinkedIn, please feel free. I don't mind if you don't use DO. I just want to connect to startups and people who are just passionate about what you do, so please feel free to do it. So today what I want to do with you is the next 30, 35 minutes. It's really go through the story of a startup. And for those of you that have experience, you kind of know what's the kind of quote unquote perfect journey of a startup. You may have a great idea of it, but I'm going to focus on the technical side of it, because no matter what's your idea, you're going to need a technical person. You're going to need tech to make it happen. You're going to need, even if it's just a website to promote your physical services or physical offering, you still need technology to make it happen. So this is what I'm going to try to do with you today. And obviously, lunch should be here soon. So we're going to have food. So once the food's going to come in, we're going to take time to grab stuff. And you can be all disrespectful and eat in my face while I'm speaking. So obviously you're here, maybe except you. You're working an idea, you have an idea of a startup. I don't know which stage you are in type of thinking about your idea, where you are in terms of getting money to make it happen, hiring people, finding co-founder if you don't have any. But obviously you got that idea. And this is great because this is a great time to be in a startup. To be a company, to create your own stuff. There is so much opportunities right now. Maybe I'm going to sound old, but when I started, we didn't have those kind of opportunities. It was really hard to even be just a freelancer. It was not that easy. Right now with all those working space, accelerator, incubator, all those startup program, all those VCs, which also give you the opportunity to be successful even if you're not in San Francisco, which is something new for a couple of years, but at the beginning was if you were not in SF, forget it, nobody's going to take you seriously. But it can be frightening. And I don't know if you're already starting to see that. It's an interesting journey. Sometimes it's going to go well, sometimes it won't go well. And let's be honest, I don't think there's a better word than it's a journey. And it's not always easy. But when you do that, you need to focus. And this is probably the hardest part. I don't know for you, for me. I didn't create a startup. I was part of startup at the early stage. I worked with different product teams to go from the idea to the production. I was a freelancer, and one of the hardest things for me, maybe it's because I'm ADHD, was to focus on what's the most important. And it's not because I don't know what's important. It's more about there's so many things I can do that I need to have that funnel of I have all those ideas, or my co-founders have all those ideas, and I really need to focus on what's important. But the thing is that you need to make it fast. You need to make it happen as fast as you can, because right now, let's be honest, if you have that idea, someone else, I'm a big believer that someone else somewhere have the same exact idea as you, and probably even already working on the project or the product or the company you're thinking of, and maybe more advanced than you, or maybe not. But at least I'm a big believer. There is so many people in the world, And as creative as you think you are, and I'm not like deleting nobody, like I think it's amazing to have those ideas, you can create those startups. I didn't have like the magic idea that like in my career I was like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and like create a startup. So I'm really like looking at it and like, holy shit, that is nice. That is really nice. But I'm also a big believer that someone else somewhere is working on the exact same thing as you. So you need to move fast. You have time, but you don't have time either. And it doesn't look like this, but I'm really a positive guy. It's just like I've started with startups so much, I've been in the industry for so long, things go fast. And this is the tech industry, especially in the tech industry, but in the startup world, no matter what's your project idea, you really need to move fast. And the thing is that you don't have money, I guess so. Or you may have money, you may be part of the lucky people who put money aside when you have kind of like a business type of job and we're putting money aside, you've got some love money from family and friends, or you're part of like an incubator that's gonna help you and give you a government program that's gonna give you money, which may not be the case.
That's like fast.
So you may not have money, and the thing is that like we live in a world where we need money to make things happen. So you still need to be good at what you do. So it's kind of like you, it's not always easy, you don't really have money to do everything you want to do, but you need to deliver quality, you need to be good, because this is how you're going to be able to get investors, this is how you're going to be able to get people who are going to join your project, who are going to join your company, who are going to believe in what you want to do. So one of the first things I always say to anybody is like, the first step is to have that kind of like one link to rule them all. Like I want, like as a person, when I talk about my company, when I talk about my idea, I want to be able to send people somewhere, to have a website. It can be whatever, it doesn't need to be like that super critical, elaborate, expert website. It can be a one-pager with some information, a small logo, not a big logo, the name of the company, a one-liner. Just a place where it can send people. It looks a little more serious, and at the same time, it's really easy to like send people to all the same place so all people can get the same information. And to do that, you have a lot of like free offering out there. And when it comes to DigitalOcean, we have some things that we call the droplet. So right now, I'm on my DigitalOcean account. So it's my cloud dashboard. This is where I'm going to create everything I need to run my application. And I can create a droplet. So I can create a virtual machine where I'm going to be able to put my website for a different amount of money on a month. But the basic one is $5 per month. And what's interesting is that the price won't change unless you change the specification for that like quote-unquote computer. So for $5 per month, I can have a virtual machine, so kind of like part of a computer and a DigitalOcean server where I'm going to be able to host my website. And if I'm not that technical, or even if I'm technical, I don't know for you, for technical folks in the room, but like I can install a WordPress website as an example. I'm a whole like type of like WordPress type of guy. I really love WordPress. I love that CMS. But to make it happen, I need to install a web server. I need to install a database. I need to configure all those things. I want to be sure that like everything's going to be secure. And it's not that like it's that complicated for a technical person. I can make it happen easily. But do I want to? Because I don't know. I'm a little bit lazy, and like I don't want to reinvent things that happen everything. So we have something called the marketplace, where I'm going to be able, and the marketplace is a little bit, the name is like, oh, we're going to sell you something, but it's not about that. It's more about giving you access to different type of application that you can install by using what we call a one-click install. So in my case, if I want to create a WordPress website, I can go there and I can say, hey, it's fine, I want that droplet, I want that virtual machine, but I want to install everything, because right now I just want the website. And you remember when I say like you want to focus on what's important? Installing WordPress and configuring all this may not be the most important things you have to do right now. So we make it for you. So I go there, I can choose my plan, $5. I'm going to be able to scale in the future if I need more power, more spaces, more everything. I can choose the region. So in your case, because you're based in New York, you can choose the data center in New York. But if you plan to have like, I don't know, most of your customers in Europe, you can maybe choose London, or you can choose different data center. And in the grand scheme of things, the speed may not be a big difference. You may not see the big difference from your website. But when you're gonna scale, when your application is going to have more customers, that latency difference, like the speed difference, may make a difference depending on the data center. And I'm going to go there, select different configuration, and I'm going to say create a droplet. I can also enable backup, which is like $1 per month with the $5 droplet, which is always important. So I'm going to create droplet, and within 5 minutes, I'm going to have my virtual machine that's going to be created for me in the cloud. I'm going to have WordPress installation that's going to be created for me. And what I'm going to have to do is just go to, let me access one that I already configured. And I can access my WordPress installation easily. So now it's really ugly because like it's the default theme, but this is the benefit with WordPress is that you can find free theme everywhere and install whatever you need and make it happen. So within 5 minutes, not that complicated, not that you don't need a lot of like technical skills. For $5 per month, you have your website running and it's fast. And I say WordPress, you can use whatever technology you want. So this is the first step. You have your website right now. This is a good thing because now you can sell people to a link. And again, this is one of my first tip that I give to new entrepreneurs. Like just have that one link to rule them all. Even if you don't have a lot of this, like 1 or 2 liners, it's just great to have that website to send people there. And that's gonna be your one place where at some point, now it's a start and you need to be a little more serious and I always do those kind of talk to technical people when I say like now you're stuck with a CEO who have like all those great ideas about like getting all those promotion and you need to execute those. And quite often the first step, which is interesting to me, is kind of like creating a video about your product, kind of like a mock-up about like what's your big idea, how that's going to help people to solve an issue that they have. And those videos are nice because it's a way to promote your product, it's a way to promote what you're doing, it's a way to show to people what you're going to do, even if you don't have an MVP, even if you don't have a product that is working. But quite often it's kind of like a next step for a founder. But the thing is that those videos take space. And as you said, like if there's a lot more people going on my website, maybe I need a better way to deliver that. And there is something that we call this spaces. And for technical people of you, those are like spaces or object storage. So this is where I'm going to be able to put my videos there. And there is something super important with those things is that if I go there and I say, let's create a spaces, this is where I'm going to put all my static assets. So I can put that on my virtual machine I did before. But the benefit of having a space where I can put that video, where I can put that like white paper PDF that I created, where I can put that information for an investor, is that if I use a space to do this, I can enable something that is called a CDN, Content Delivery Network. So I create my space in a specific data center like New York, but that CDN, which we call CDN, Content Delivery Network, which is free with the spaces, will give me the opportunity to spread that content in all our data center. So if you have customers in, I don't know, you created your space in San Francisco and you have customers in Singapore, they're going to access those files from Singapore and we manage this for you. So we create a copy of your files in all data center and that makes the access for those files really faster. And this is part of the offering of spaces. So this is one of the things, and everything I'm showing you right now is related to DigitalOcean. But quite often you have those equivalent with your cloud provider. The only difference is that in your case with the spaces, it's the CDN is included in the offering. So now you're like, okay, we got that video, we got those images, it's nice. Now we need to do something. Like we need to have a proof of concept. We need to create something to show that people that it's not just an idea, that's going to work. And now it's maybe more related to like the technical people or actually the people that have a technical product. So you start to create your frame and you start to design your idea and think about the architecture. And one thing for sure you're going to need is database. At some point, you're going to need a database, and your technical people, as good as they are, you don't want them to spend time to manage the database. You want them to create a database format. You want them to insert data, update data, and create all the code that your application will need. But do you want them to manage the database and install all the version and install all the security fix? You don't want to. And you don't want to spend time on this because it's a lot of work to do that. And it may not be your expertise. Again, I'm a technical person, I can do those things. Do I want to do all those things? No. So what I can do, I can use what we call a managed database. Where database has a service. So you're gonna hear a lot of those terms, has a service when it comes to cloud. And one of the things, what it means is that you use the database, but you don't have to care about everything else when it comes to like security patches and everything, because the cloud provider does that for you. So if I go there and I say, let's create a database. And I was talking about WordPress previously. WordPress use MySQL as an example. So what I can do as a technical person, I can go on my virtual machine and I can install as an example, or let's say PostgreSQL. I can install PostgreSQL by myself on my server, on my droplet, on my virtual machine. But every time a new update is going to happen, I will need to update it. If there's a security breach, I need to be aware of that. I need to patch it because like that could be a security concern for my customers. So what I want to do in that case, I don't want to be stuck with all those things. So I want DigitalOcean to manage this for me. So I can choose my database, choose the node plan, and again, it's about starting really small. So for $15 per month, you get 1 gigabyte of RAM, 1 virtual CPU, and 10 gigabyte of disk. And at some point, you can scale. So even right now, if you're like, Fred, I don't know what I need, you probably want to start with a smaller offering. And you choose the data center, same thing as we did before, and you click create. And within 5 minutes, that database will be created for me. So I won't have to install everything to make it happen. That will all be installed for me, and that will be all managed for me. So the only thing the technical person will have to do is create the code that will read, update, delete, insert whatever you have to do with the database. So again, my tips here is like, yes, it's another service. Yes, we need to pay a little more, but you don't have to worry about those things. You don't have to worry about managing the database. So now you have your website. You start to work on your MVP, have something that is working-ish, but good enough to show to people what's the idea, or even you have like your MVP. It's something that is working, but like it's a small part, like the big idea, the big project, but it's good enough to show people, to start to talk to potential customer, to even start to potential investor. So now I love that. Now you're starting to talk to VC, to investor. You're starting to probably raise money. And I say that because usually a lot of startups goes that route, and this is kind of like the de facto right now. You don't need to if for whatever reason it's not the path you want to do. But at some point it's probably the goal when you create a startup, you want to raise money because you want to grow faster, you're gonna have investor, people on the board. So you start to have what I would call more serious discussion, because now it's like, you do it or you don't do it. This is where you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna be able to move to the next step and really bring my idea to a real concept, to something that's going to be interesting. But at the same time, what I highly suggest you do is start to gather potential customers. Even if you don't have a product, remember that website we did like 10 slides ago? Had a like subscribe here for the newsletter. As much as I hate newsletter, I will subscribe if there is an interesting product that are coming, because I want to know. I will probably unsubscribe right after you tell me it's available, because I don't want to receive anything else, but at least I'm going to be in your database. I'm going to have access to my email, and you can send me like, hey Fred, why don't we just launch the beta version? I would like to get access to it. And quite often the way to go is people have offer those things for free until you get enough users to prove the value of your service and start to charge for like, I don't know, a premium type of services from the idea you have. But no matter what you do, no matter what's your plan, you're gonna start to have customers, or you're gonna start to have users that will go to your website. And you're gonna need to scale, and you're still gonna need to get that quality. And this is where the cloud starts to become interesting, because everything I showed you before is quite interesting, it's nice, but you can do this, I don't know, with a server in your work grub at home, which I don't suggest you do, but you can. Like, you may not need everything at that point, but now it's getting a little more serious. And the cloud will give you the opportunity to scale up or scale horizontally or vertically, depending on your need. And what I mean by that is that one of the technology that I was talking before is that, like, hey, there's a lot of people going on my website, but I don't need to really scale to a bigger virtual machine. It's just for something specific in time, like, hey, I'm doing that podcast, and like I'm going to be at that. Like I was talking with a startup last week, they went on a TV show, and like, oh my god, everything's fine, we're crazy. You can have something that we call the load balancer, which is taking all the connection, and we'll decide which virtual machine is not buzzy enough to get those connections. So what I can do, my one website that I created at the beginning, I can duplicate that website 2, 3, 4 times, which means that I'm going to have like all those like virtual machine, 4 or 5 virtual machine. Everything will go through like my main pipe, and that technology, the load balancer, will decide which virtual machine can take the hit from your connection. So really at that point, it's because you need a little more flexibility, you need a little more power, and you're going to have more user or more connection. Well, this is also an offering most cloud providers have. But now it's getting even more serious. You're raising money. Congratulations. Like, you may be the next unicorn, the next Facebook, the next Google, I don't know. Anyhow, please remember your name. Please remember that I talked to you, I gave you tips. So when you're going to be like multimillionaire, remember me. I would love to get an island or something. But yeah, remember my name. So yeah, congratulations. You reached that tab. But now, CEO, non-technical founder, shit is in the and technical founder, because now it's like you get money. You need to hire people. You need to like do a better website. You need to start to like have really serious discussions, because now you're gonna have like board member, and now you need to be profitable, and now you need to go to the next step. So it's nice, you made it, but it's nearly not as done. Like, you have a lot of work on your plate. And again, you need to focus on what's important. And for the technical people in your team, or people who are technical, this is where you're going to go crazy a little bit. Because if you think that the beginning was kind of like hard enough to all do, like putting the website, creating an MVP with no resources, now you have resources, which means you still need to move faster, because now people have expectation for you. And at that point, you will have more users, you will have more customers, and this is where things may go a little more crazy in the technical side. And this is where you probably want to use another technology that's going to make your life easier. And if you talk with technical people, you may have heard the word Kubernetes, which is kind of like a buzzword, I would say, right now for the last 2 years in technology. And Kubernetes is open source technology from Google that they released actually a couple of years ago. And what is great is that Kubernetes may be too complex for your use case right at the beginning, but Kubernetes is a platform that will help you to manage all those virtual machines that I talk about, all those like hard disks that I talk about, hold the capacity of like getting those connections. And I won't go, because most people are not technical in the room, I won't go too far with that demo, but what I can show you is that I created a Kubernetes clusters. We'll call this a clusters, and within that clusters, I have all my nodes that contain my virtual machine. And Kubernetes is quite interesting, can be a little bit complex to configure, but when you reach that scale, when you need to scale easily, when you need to be able to change your architecture more easily, but you don't want to manage everything by yourself, you're going to be able to use Kubernetes to make it happen for you. So this is an offering. Kubernetes is free on DigitalOcean. What you pay is for the node, so the virtual machine that you had to your cluster. Again, I see a lot of like interrogation point. I guess the point right now is not to like, oh my God, Fred, I understood everything about Kubernetes. It's more to know that there's that kind of technology that is out there, that is available when you're going to need that step where your technical people are like, oh, now it's getting really too complicated to manage all those virtual machines myself, and we need to scale a lot more. I need some like technology to help me make it happen. Think about Kubernetes. So yeah, you reach that point, you scale, and you get a good point. So first things I wanted to say. So everything I've shown you, and I quickly shown you those things, is the perfect journey. everything goes well. Like, oh, I create a website, oh, I scale a little bit, oh, I talk to an investor, like everything goes well. And it's kind of like the perfect journey, which may not happen. But those are building blocks. You want to use more space? Do it. You don't want to? Remove it. So those are Lego pieces that you can put together to make it happen to your specific need when it comes to technology. And the thing is that, to get back to your question, everything I've shown you, you can do this with any other cloud provider. And usually we're talking about the biggest one, we're talking about GCP, like Google Cloud Platform, which is like the offering from Google, AWS, which is the offering from Amazon, or Azure, which is the offering from Microsoft. They're all good platforms. They all have their benefits. And actually what's great is that they're all offering you like free credits to use their platform. But what I really love, and I say that, and obviously I work at DigitalOcean, but I joined 3 months ago. And part of my decision to join DigitalOcean was the offering that we have. Because I was in discussion with Amazon, I was in discussion with their company to get a new job at those places, and they're great. But what I really love about DigitalOcean is the fact that it's easy to use. And this is one of our mission and one of our values. We make things easier. We love developers, and we make it for developers. So what I say in that is that I was able to create things in my dashboard with my mouse and click on things, which doesn't mean that because it's easy to use, that it's simple. Actually, it's not because it's simple to use that it's limited. So I can do all those things using the command line interface if I want. I'm a big keyboard guy, so I'm going to go with my terminal and go do things in my command line. Your technical people are going to have access to API, so they can automate things. Like they can do things way more complicated if they need to, but at the same time, we really make your things easier to use. If you and I don't want to badmouth to other companies, it's not my type of things, and I have friends in all those companies, but like when I log in AWS, I'm lost. And I'm a technical person, I've been in the industry for like 16 years. It's complicated, and it may serve your need, because we are not having an equivalent offering from all those platforms too. We're a 500 people company, so I think we're not a small company, we're pretty solid, we're making millions, but we're not at Amazon or Google. Second thing I said is that if I want to make it complex, I can make it complex. I can use the tools I want. I can use what we call the command line interface, so I can do things in my terminal, like coding stuff. I can automate stuff if I want to, so I don't have to use the dashboard. I also have great reports, which is interesting because I know how it's working. Is my servers at maximum capacity or no? I have all those nice reports that give me insight on the health of my server. But most important is that I know I don't need to be a fortune teller to know how much that's going to cost me. And this is also part of why I really love DigitalOcean offering, is that if I go elsewhere, that can be quite complicated to know how much that's going to cost me at the end of the month, because that's going to depend on the data transfer, that's going to depend on if that's going to scale automatically or no. The $5 that I told you about WordPress, it's $5. If I want to scale to $20, that's going to be $20, but it's fixed per month, which is super important. I think it's important in any type of company to know how much you're going to spend on things, on the infrastructure. I think it's even more important as a startup. I don't want to have a surprise where I thought that would have cost me like $100, and surprise, it's $1,000 at the end of the month. So this is one of the things I really love with DigitalOcean, is that you know how much you're going to pay, and this is part of our principle. This is part of how we do things. We have a program called Ash, and this is basically what I do. So I talk to a lot of developers. I do a lot of developer relations, but one of my focus is really startup, which is what Kevin is doing also. So the Ash program is our equivalent of getting free credits for a startup. Because you're part of WeWorkLabs, you can have access to, I think it's $50K for a year, so $50,000 of free credits for a year on DigitalOcean platform. So this is what people are giving you. So there's a lot of other providers that are giving you free credits. I encourage you to test those, to use those free credits at other places. But here you can apply to the program because you're with one of our partners. So as soon as you apply, you get accepted, you get access to those for credit. But as I said, everybody got dealt. What's super interesting for me, and you can use those credits for your own thing. But credits is one thing, don't get me wrong, free money is nice. Everyone loves free money and free credits. But I think when we're asking sort of about what's the difference between the other and you guys, it's what I told you in terms of like the offering, but what I told you about the startup program and the offering we have, which is the apps program. Yes, the free credits, but as you said before, the support, this is one thing. Even if you're not part of the apps program, your customers, if you pay $5 per month or $10,000 per month, you have access to support. We are giving what I would say VIP support to everyone. We don't get me wrong, I was going to say we don't care about how much money you spend, don't get me wrong, you understand what I mean in terms of like supporting you. Like you're a customer, no matter how much you pay, we're supporting you. So you have access to support. But when you're part of the apps program, you have priority support. So you're gonna go up in the list of the support queue. And again, you can talk to real people. And this is also the part that is important. You have access to those kind of like lunch and learn. We have an internal Slack, or not an internal, like an Ash Slack, private Slack communities where you can exchange whatever startup founders, people that are we're more advanced in terms of like they launch their startup, they raise money, they're successful or not. You have access to all those people, you can share knowledge. We have different office hours with like people working on a product. You can have having office hours with me. You can set like 2 minutes time with us. You can Slack me, send me an email. There's other people like me too. So this is for me the most important part is that when there's something wrong happening, or even when there's not something wrong. Like I often do office hours with people who just have like, hey, this is what I was thinking about my infrastructure. Fred, tell me, is it good or is shit? And we have a discussion about your infrastructure. And it doesn't mean that I have the knowledge for everything, but I know who to talk with if I don't have the knowledge to have those discussions with you. So again, having those accessible people you can talk to is, I think, the biggest benefit for that program. For those of you that are using open source or that are participating in open source project, like any technical folks in the room, if you mind, take 5 minutes later. At some point, we have right now a survey that is out there, which we want to survey people that are using open source or a developer that are participating in open source to know a little bit what's happening in the industry right now. It's kind of like a 5 to 10 minute survey that's accessible to co.co/currents OSS. You got free stickers, so this is the code Sammy. You saw a lot of stickers there of Sammy, which is your mascot. The design team love to do different Sammy. There's a Pong Sammy, there's a Leia from Star Wars Sammys, there's a My Little Pony Sammys, and this is the code Sammy. Lost his highs, but yeah, you got free stickers just to get a survey. It's not really to the talk. It's just if you have 5 to 10 minutes, that would be nice. If you want to learn more about Ash, obviously I'm here this afternoon. I do office hours with some other people. If you want to connect at some point, let me know. go.do.co/Ash. This is where you're going to get all the information I told you about the Ash program. This is also where you're going to be able to sign up. For those of you who would like to see the slide or just review that talk today, I was recording that talk. I will cut your question because I don't want you to in the video, it's personal. It's just going to be me, but I'm going to put the video online if you want to watch it again and share it with your partner. That's going to be there. And last but not least, please send me an email at farber@digitalocean.com or actually Fred@eo.co. This is my email. Ping me on LinkedIn.